This dashboard provides an overview of public transport usage across NSW between 2016 and 2026. During this period, more than 6 billion passenger trips were recorded across the network, highlighting the importance of public transport in supporting daily travel. A key finding is that train and bus services dominate ridership. Train services generated more than 3 billion trips, while bus services recorded over 2 billion trips. Together, these modes account for the majority of passenger journeys across the network. This matters because these services have the greatest influence on overall network performance. Any service disruptions, capacity constraints, or reliability issues on train and bus networks will affect the largest number of passengers. As a result, these modes should remain a priority for future planning, investment, and operational improvements. The second key insight relates to passenger demand patterns and customer behavior. The data shows that March was the busiest month for travel, while demand remained relatively high during October and November. This indicates that passenger demand followed predictable seasonal patterns rather than being evenly distributed throughout the year. The card type analysis also shows that adult Opal cards account for a large proportion of trips. This suggests that regular commuters remain the primary users of the transport network. This matters because understanding when and who uses public transport enables Transport New South Wales to allocate resources more effectively. Additional service can be scheduled during peak periods, while future planning can focus on meeting the needs of the largest passenger segment.
Okay, now we'll be going over Dashboard 2. We'll be looking at NSW's transport satisfaction rates. If we look at graph number 1 on the top right, we see the customer satisfaction by transportation mode. The top 2 slots are taken by ferry and metro. They're leading at 98%. The 2 smallest modes of transport by volume consistently deliver the best passenger experience. Next is train and bus, both scoring at 90%. However, despite carrying over 90% of all trips in Sydney, the network's workhorses have a satisfaction problem. The gap signals a clear link between crowding volume and experience quality. Fixing train and bus satisfaction is the highest leverage intervention available. Looking at graph 2, when are the services busiest? If we see March peaks slightly higher, aligning with back to school and returning to work patterns post-summer. There's realistically no meaningful off-peak window in the annual calendar. Pricing and capacity strategies cannot rely on seasonal demand dips. Only holiday seasons show minor dips. Now we're going to look at recommendations. Our first recommendation is targeted satisfaction improvement on train and buses. How are we going to do this? We're going to benchmark against Metro's 98% score rate and identify what they do differently and what they do right and compare it to train and buses. Recommendation number 2, off-peak demand incentives to redistribute year-round load. Since demand barely drops across the calendar, we're going to use incentives to target time off days, all while promoting off-peak travel to concession and child card holders, specifically as they are more price sensitive and more likely to shift travel times.